whichever one you want.
Okay. Ready?
Absolutely. Great. So let's just work a little bit on the first part since we just went through it. So one of the first things is, first of all, good job. It's not an easy piece. So here it says forte. I feel like your dynamic throughout the whole time has been more of a, like a mezzo forte. And also I feel, see, it says possato, which means French horns. So you have to try to illustrate the sound of French horns. So for the first thing is, I feel like your stroke could be a little bit more incisive and a little bit more French horn. So you play, which is nice, but it's a little bit soft for the color of French horn, because of course when you think of French horns you think of the sonic boom.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, so how do you do that? You have to, I would use, first of all, flatter hair.
Okay.
Whenever you use, well, the reason that you use flatter hair is because it creates greater friction with the string, and so you can immediately gain greater sound. So first of all, I would use flatter hair, and then I would also use more speed. So the kind of the accentuation is not from, because that was scratch, but instead flatter hair and, could you try this please?
Okay.
So starting from the frog, flatter hair and try to more speed. Now a good trick for this little section, that was actually a lot better. So a good trick for this section is, very often violinists play this with the bottom note, and sometimes you omit the top note. And the reason for this is because the octave will still sound. But because this is, because see, if your fingers are a little bit fatter, there's a good chance that when you're nervous, or if your hands are sweating, that you will miss, the intonation will go right here. So you can prevent that in concert is, and then you come back to the playing both notes when, on the, on this note here. I'm not suggesting you do it all the time. I'm suggesting that this is something you could consider, because when you're performing this, if you are nervous, it's a little trick. So why don't you try, and again, flatter hair and greater oomph,
Yeah.
But you also have to play the rhythm. So try to think of singing this E. You're cutting it short, the quarter note. Yes. So, does it go on? One suggestion here that I noticed, the difficult part about this is the shift, right? So the way you can make this a little easier, and actually this is for any shift, the hand has to be prepared for the shift before you actually shift. Because the way that I see right now you do, it's kind of like amorphous a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But then how do you prepare the hand? Whenever you get past the fourth position, what stands in your way between you and the note on the fingerboard is the ribs of the violin. So before you shift, the hand has to be prepared for the contour of the rib. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like this, look. The hand is already prepared, then you shift. And also, another thing that you should consider is whenever you play in octaves, the way to, again, simplify the octave and simplify the shift to the octave is not to think of both the first and the fourth finger as if you're shifting to both the first and the fourth finger, but just, so you're shifting from 1 to 1. And the fourth finger remains, just follows the first finger. So this is, so again, so then the hand prepares itself. You're thinking about this note going to an F, and then you shift. Okay? Well, why don't you try? I know it's a little bit a lot of information, but so prepare the hand. Prepare the hand first. That's better. Do you feel it's a little easier for you now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, always before the shift, think about preparing the hand for the position it will be in when you arrive there.
Okay.
And in order to do that, it's not something you can do right now, but something that you can work at home is you have to memorize. See, this is what you do. You memorize the position. You do this until the hand remembers every single time you come to this place where it has to go. Okay, and this was sounded really, really good. So. Again, here, this is the same little thing. When you're playing octaves, especially when you see, the problem is the octaves get very dangerous when you have to play a third finger in an open string, because it's very easy to be out of tune with an open string. So very often when you hear this little part played, a lot of violins do this. Sometimes you focus only on the first finger, or sounds like an octave, but I'm only playing the G string. These are little things that you can do when you're on a stage and you get nervous in order to increase the intonation if something goes. Okay. Another little thing, sorry. So here, look. Do you agree this is one voice?
No.
You don't think so? You don't hear it this way? So what about? And then do you think this is like a bass line? Or like do you think this is maybe like the trombones?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
And then this is a different register, so it's probably something else, right? I think that if you think about it this way, the fact that the register changes, and this is probably the trombones, and this is maybe something else, it would help the listener to musically perceive this piece if you separate these two little things. So you do, a little rougher, and then, so almost like a voice. So what I'm saying is, for the bass line, it even has dots. So make it more dotty, make it more, trombone-like. And this, make it more lyrical. Okay? You can sing. Exactly. exactly. And then look, but see, this is the same voice. Yeah, so this is all the same thing. And then this, and then look, this is a new phrase, right? So, and then, so don't jump into it. It also makes your intonation even better. Bom. Bom. And then look, again, every single time you have these little things, look. It's always signals a new phrase. Always, this is like a, because it's a pickup. So here, and then, again, trombones. Again, trombones. And then finally, this is where you make your final statement. Why? Because it's the same musical element, musical gesture, that repeats 3 times. So musically, it would make sense softest, a little louder, and then loudest. And then you always keep up this trombone accompaniment. Dom, bom, bom. Okay?
Okay.
Bom. And then the loudest. Da, da, da. Can I make a little suggestion also? You know, the fingerings here are very good. Actually, whose edition is this? Do you know?
It's the Urtex.
Oh, yeah. But who is the violinist that actually put the fingerings?
It's Renato de Barbieri.
Barbieri, yeah, that's fine. He's a
Yeah.
wonderful violinist. But you know, what I was taught when I was taught this Caprice is, it's always better for the intonation to try to stick with 1/4, because it's, you know, let's face it, it's one of the most natural fingerings for octaves. It's what we always use. Here he has fingered octaves, and that's fine. That's great. And the people that play like, but you know, like look, 1/4. It's still gonna be easier to play, and it's still gonna be faster, because you can't play the fingered octaves as fast as you can play 1/4. You know why that is?
Because like it's always in one position.
Yeah, the hand stays in one position and it slides back and forth. So my suggestion is all of this. I would start with 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and slide back, and all this entire little episode. I mean, again, I want you to do only what your teacher feels best for you. But I think that you could consider the fact that 1/4 is ultimately going to be easier for octaves, and to play quicker octaves. Okay, another thing is, if you're going to use the Urtext, then you might as well just do what Paganini wrote, which is not fingered octaves in the scale, but single scale. Again, do only what your teacher feels is best, but I think it's important to consider that, for example, in competitions right now, people don't play fingered octaves here. And in a lot of the modern recordings, just these little parts where the fingered octaves were traditionally played, they're not played. So, you know, it's just something to consider. I wanted also you to tell you about this little place. Again, I would use flatter hair. And can I ask you something? What instrument do you think this trill is trying to imitate?
French horn.
French horn on the bottom, right? Because it's do, do, do. But this, I immediately think of the drum.
Oh, a drum roll.
Yeah. So essentially, this entire Caprice is about a military band, when you think about it, musically speaking. Okay? Why don't you, is there something that you want to do further here? Do you have questions?
Not really.
Okay, do you want to do the second part?
Okay.
Great. Great. Really, really nice. It's obvious you worked on this quite a bit. Okay, one of the first things that I noticed is that when you play, for example, first of all, this dum dum, it's actually longer. You make it into a 16th because you play. But it's actually. So all these pickups, they have to be of their true value, which is the 8th. For example, for this part, one thing that I notice is that the left hand for you is not always prepared. So again, here, then you prepare the hand. You would practice this like this, look. The hand goes. So you would practice this with pauses. During the pause, the left hand fingers would set in the actual chord, and then you would play. And also I recommend for intonation that you separate all these chords by intervals. Look. Again, the hand sets, and then let's say you're practicing the top part of the chord. So in your mind, you're already hearing this this interval. Hand sets. Right? See, the thing is about all these little technical things is that really it's all basically just a pattern. And if you can get yourself to the point where you think that it's just a pattern, and you know that it's a pattern, and that the pattern is remembered in your left hand. So, so practice this with pauses, with setting your hand, and when in terms of intonation, separate by intervals. Again, the same comment that I had before is that I would use flatter hair because you need, why flatter hair? Because you need more sound. This is a really bombastic section. Right? So flatter hair, more speed, so that the sound rings. Why don't you start from here? Again, could you please do the value? Yeah. Question. What do you think this music is about?
Frantic, I guess.
Would you say it's a little bit bombastic?
Yeah.
Do you think that this is possibly the sounds that a military band makes? I mean,
Possibly.
yeah. Can you imagine if you have like a French horn and a trombone and all these trumpets together, and they have to have this boom? Well, I think that you're playing it very well, but for me, I would play this with a little bit more oomph. So. Just more, again, flatter hair, faster bow. Great. Good, go on. Okay, I'll tell you the trick that I use in this passage. It might not work for you. It all depends on the size of your hands and if it's comfortable. This is what I do. Look, what happens? The pinky stays, right? So basically, I keep my pinky throughout. It only works if you have big hands. Okay, if you have short hands, you have to like, do crazy things. All right, why don't you start? Why don't you start from here? This is because the other trick that I showed you, you have to practice at home. Okay, again, my comment musically here is more sound, more bombastic. This is a bend, so look. Flutter hair, and then speed, and also more vibrato. And then here on this, I would even do a crescendo because it's a very militaristic type of thing. So, and of course, look, everybody's afraid of missing the chords. But bottom line is, when you really start to play it, don't even think about it. You just have to go for it. So, try again. Yeah, more vibrato. Vibrate the ends of chords. That's right. And look. Again, the same little thing. This is a musical gesture that is repeating. You have, and then it repeats again. If you play it the same way as you did before, the audience is going to be like, this is all the same thing. But if you play a different dynamic, which is not written here, but which you could do, it's like, it's like instead of eating potatoes all the time, you also add some meat, So why don't you try from there? Yeah. And go out, da. Okay, can I just tell also? Do you notice that this bass line, dom, bom, has dots just like the trombone part in the first section? So, to me that suggests that this is probably, again, trombones, and it probably has a similar character. Now, the way I was taught to play this is this. Look, this is what I was taught to do. Bow, down, bow. Now, of course, there's something you have to practice, but and the way that you practice is slowly. This is like a martelé down bow, 2 notes down bow. But if this is not how you play it, it still has to have the right character. So then it has to have this brassy kind of oomph to it, Now the comment about this is, it's the same thing. Your hand has to be set before it travels. Look, set. Okay, now from a musical perspective, what do you think is happening here? Like this top register?